The Joey and the Ultralight are the ultimate super ultralight backpacks. I've hiked 1,000 miles with each of these individually. This is a thorough review of my love and my hate, but mostly my love of both of these backpacks. In this review, I'll walk you through the style, the fit, the pockets, and the smart design choices that define each one of these packs. If you are thinking about buying either of these packs, this is a super nitpicky, in the weeds review of all the little things that you would only notice if you've lived for months with these packs. The Joey. Before going into style, I just want to give some stats. It's 24 liters, it's 14 ounces, and it has an 18-inch sort of vertical back length. Style. The Joey, I think, is a very ugly backpack. It sort of looks like a bug on your back when you're wearing it. But if you get it in ultra weave black, that sort of mitigates it. And if you're a big guy, it looks sort of funny. Fit. This is clearly designed to make sure that everything is super snug on you. So when you put it on, there is no movement. When you're scrambling, there's no movement. That's why they use the Venom mesh on the side pockets and the back with a clip on the top. This makes it so that, like, if you have anything on the outside of your backpack, it's just super snug to the backpack. The 18-inch size is above the crest of the butt. That means that when you're walking, it's not bouncing. And I've talked about this in a lot of my videos. I hate that. And so this backpack, unlike the Ultralight, which is also 18, it does not bounce on the crest of your butt. This is the most comfortable backpack I've ever owned. It's very, very hard to get the sort of the vest strap correct so that this top part doesn't rub on the top of your neck. Also, the vest itself is not very big or wide like some other brands, and so it's not going to soak out when it's super hot and muggy. It's still not as airy as a non-vest, but the vest is small enough. There's small enough amounts of fabric so that it doesn't wet out. Pockets. There are 4 pockets on the front. There's the small one on the bottom, and then there's the one on the top. The small one on the bottom can be used for your phone, and the top ones are usually used for water bottles. But if you put your phone in the bottom one, you can't get a water bottle up here. And so what I would normally do is I put my phone here, I put all the electrolytes and things that I need for the day here, and then I put a 20-ounce smart water bottle here and my sunscreen here. The side pockets are Venom. So if this bag is full, and at 24 liters, it's usually full, it's almost impossible to get a water bottle out of the side pocket. So you really want to use water bottles on your shoulder straps. This is a major negative. The bottom pocket is also really small, and because it's Venom mesh, is not super stretchy. And so you can't get a full day's worth of food in there, but you can get a half a day's worth of food if it's not super voluminous amounts of food. I would have my quart-sized Ziplocs of nuts, and that could fit in there, and that would be the first half, and then I'd stop and I'd refill it for the second half of the day. Fit. The cut of the pack is really, really unique. This cut where it's wider on the bottom and skinnier on the top makes it so that the weight rides in a specific way where it just feels really snug and super comfortable. You sort of have to try it to know, but it's very different than a lot of other backpacks. The front pocket, the way that it clips here, makes it so you can get your hand in on the sides, but it's still really snug. I think this is genius. These are the little kinds of designs where you wouldn't notice unless you were using it, but when you do, you're like, wow, not only is it cut that way, but on the inside, there's a little bit of stretchiness that they put there, and they made it so it comes out like this. So this part, just like with the bottom pockets design here, where you have it folded over coming in, it keeps the stuff that's inside that pocket inside the pocket. It would get snagged on that as opposed to falling out. I just think that's genius. On the bottom of the shoulder straps, there's this loop, this aluminum loop, and that just makes it so that the cinching of the shoulder straps is much easier. They must have gone through a bunch of iterations before they came to this loop. You don't see this loop on any other backpack, but it does make it more comfortable. There are a lot of different, so this is webbing. There's a lot of different webbing that backpack companies use, but what's super important about this webbing is that it's really easy to cinch down and then let loose because you're going to want to have it tighter when you're going downhill and looser when you're going uphill. And so you're playing with your straps a lot, and you want to make sure that you have a webbing that is easy to adjust but stays snug. And not all of the backpacking companies out there use webbing like this, but the webbing that they chose is, again, perfect. They're using a new type of side clasp. On the older versions, they had this one. On the Joey, they have this one. It's slightly different, but I don't like it because it's not very easy to loop into the loop. The last iteration that they had, this string on the top would always get tangled in the pull cord, but they've changed that. They've used this new kind of string that looks like it has like a Dyneema thread in it, and it just doesn't get tangled. That was super annoying. It used to come and get tangled around the actual pull tab, and it's been an extra 3 seconds as you're like trying to get and walk, and you have to like untangle your pull at the top of your bag. I'm really glad they fixed this. The side bungee, this type of bungee that they use stretches really, really easily. So you get it new and it's quite small, and then the moment that you start using it, it stretches out. So there's all this extra bungee. I don't know why they didn't use a bungee that could just like keep its form over time. The Ultralight. The Ultralight is 26 liters. It also is an 18 for the size, and it's also around 14 ounces depending on what fabric you get. Style. I believe that the Ultralight is the second best looking backpack that has ever been made for ultralighters, only next to the V2 16-inch. Fit. So this has been talked about a lot on Reddit. The length between the shoulder straps here is sort of made for a very, very petite man. So if you're anything but a petite person, then these shoulder straps will probably not be as comfortable. It's still comfortable, but it could be more comfortable. The backpack itself is cut so that it's not that wide. It's quite slim. And what that means is that when you're sweating, it's not as hot. There's not as much of the backpack in contact with your body. This is much easier to take on and off than a vest strap. With a vest strap, you have to undo both of the sternum strap buckles, which you have to wear when you have a vest strap. With this one, you can just pull it off, put it back on. And like I said with the Joey, even though this is a size 18 and that's the only size you can get, this one rides lower than the Joey. So it does bounce on the crest of your butt. Pockets. The water bottle pockets are not made out of venom. It's pretty easy to put the water bottle in and take the water bottle out, especially if you get the right water bottle, which is the Evian. There are 2 shoulder strap pockets. Those are great for phones. I use the left for my phone, and I use the right for sunscreen. The reason that I use the left for my phone is that I have a watch on my left arm. And so when you're taking it in and out, you want to have your first one so that you put your watch hand through, and then the other side won't get caught on your watch. So that's just something to think about. The bottom pocket, this one doesn't have a bottom pocket. I wore that off a long time ago, but the new Ultralights are made out of venom mesh, and the bottom pockets can hold a whole day of food. Smart design. So the top has this loop buckle, which I spoke to the guys at Palante. They took a lot of time developing this. This is great. A lot of the other companies don't have it. It just makes it easy to open and close the backpack quickly. Venom mesh on the new ones on the front shoulder strap pockets and the bottom pocket. You can see with my backpack, that Venom mesh, even though it's heavier, is the right fabric to use for those pockets because they just get torn up first. And if you want to have a backpack that's durable throughout the entire life of the backpack so that everything sort of breaks at the same time, but it's durable for a really long time, you've got to use Venom mesh on the mesh that gets a lot of abrasion. But the back pocket should be some kind of breathable mesh. Ray Jardine sort of designed the framework or the skeleton of these kinds of backpacks. He's the one who sort of first made rucksacks with 2 water bottle pockets and a back mesh pocket as the design for through hiking backpacks. He said that the back mesh pocket is for drying out your wet tarp or your wet shelter. And, I just think that that's the right way to do it. That's the way that he designed it. Now people are using the back pocket for just throwing a bunch of shit in. And that just changes the way that the backpack rides and it looks awful. So this is just, this is just me on my soapbox about something that I have an opinion about, but isn't really that important. But that's, to me, it's like, I just want to continue following Ray Jardine's way. But so for me, I think that they should have mesh pockets on the back. So this is an older gen. And as you can see, there's just sort of a normal cut here. On the Joey, which is the newer gen, you can see that the cut goes in. In the newer gens of the Ultralight, they also have that same cut and it makes it way more comfortable. I don't think it's as good looking actually, but it does make it more comfortable and that's actually more important. And the last part with the Ultralight is even though it's only 2 liters bigger than the Joey, I think it's way bigger. I don't think that that's the right measurement. I think it's more than 2 liters. So my thoughts, I've owned the V2, the Ultralight, and the Joey is unbelievably comfortable. There's a lot of other cons, like the fact that the water bottles pockets on the sides don't really work and you have to have your water on your shoulder straps and some of the other little things that I don't like, but it's the best backpack I've ever had. It's just so comfortable. There's no pain. It can carry more weight. And so if you have a base weight that's in the 6-pound area, or you just have a lot of your gear that doesn't take up a lot of space, like you don't have a Frog Togs and a big DCF tarp because the Tyvek of the Frog Togs and DCF takes up more space. If you have, and you don't buy really volume like food that has a lot of volume, then you can use the Joey. But you really need to be in that super ultralight area to use a backpack that's as small as the Joey. I think that the Joey was designed not for thru hikers. So I think between the two, it's sort of like, do you need a bit more volume and you want a really good looking backpack that's, still small, then get the Ultralight. If you want the most comfortable backpack out there that has some little problems, but is by far the most comfortable, then I would suggest getting the Joey. Just make sure that you get the Joey in Ultra Weave Black because the other ones are gross. I will leave links in my description for some of my gear list videos so that if you have some wondering of how you design a gear list so that it fits in one of these backpacks, you can look over those gear lists and hopefully that helps you a little bit construct your own kit for your next thru hike. So thanks for watching.